Hello, my fabulous cat loving friends. We are so excited. We got double trouble today. We have Dr. Rachel Geller here. She is one of our favoriteest humans in the whole wide world. She is an amazing behaviorist who does so much for so many. And joining her today is Daniel Fissel, who is a vet tech. I am so excited. We're going to talk to them as soon as we hear from this word from our sponsor. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, here with the ever gorgeous, newly recovered from COVID, Rita Reimers. Looking good, babe.
It feels good to be back from the brink of COVID. It was horrible.
Yeah.
See, I have Brenda Vaccaro voice going on. Those of you who are young don't know who that is. Look it up.
It's sexy, baby.
So,
but enough about it.
We love Dr. Rachel, and I am so excited. We have a vet tech, so we need to bring them on. But I need to say first, everybody listen to me. Vet techs are the nurses of the veterinary world.
They are.
They're not some assistant that was hired to just do silly things. And they get all the crap. Literally, there's probably crap on their coat.
Yeah, who's the one that sticks the thermometer up the bum? It's not the doctor.
Right? You don't see the doctors giving injections to the mean cat. You don't see the doctor. Not to bash our vets. We love our vets, but to make the most use of them, we have our vet techs. And as we know, nurses are on the front line of the medical world. Our vet techs are the front line of the veterinary.
Vet techs are nurses.
World. So thank your vet tech and be a little nicer to them. Geez, they get all the crap. Okay.
They're the ones that get the gifts at Christmas when I send candy and stuff. I love Dr. Glenn, but the vet techs, they're the ones.
As well. Be nice to the front as well.
Yes. Oh, yes, you're right, Dan. You're absolutely
be nice to the
right.
whole
to everyone.
Just be nice, doggone it.
Just be nice. No hissies, no poofy tails.
They're all you're going to help you. So we're going to talk about medical versus behavior issues. They can look identical, right? So what is our number one? Either of you tell me, what is our number one that we see this most often where we're like, it could be behavioral, could be medical?
Well, I'm going to take this one because by far, hands down, the most common question I get asked or concern that is brought to me has to do with that litter box. I mean, you would just think, how complicated can that plastic box with some sandy stuff in there be? But it's a huge big deal to our cats, and litter box issues are a big part of what I do. I'm sure Rita and Linda, it's a huge part of what you do. And I know Dan looks at the medical piece of that. So let's jump in. Let's jump in the litter box first.
Yeah, that's the issue that makes people say, I got to get rid of this cat because it's hard to. I don't want to live with litter box.
Nobody wants to live with pee and poop all over the house. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Rachel, let's hit the behavior. What could this be behaviorally?
So behaviorally, there's so much that goes into it, but bullet points. Cats feel extremely vulnerable in their litter boxes, so they always want to be sure to have a clear, clean field of vision. They want clear sight lines all the way around them. They want to know that should an opponent appear, and these opponents can be real or imagined, that they have the opportunity for escape. So potential for escape, ample visual warning time, clear visual field. These are all things that are super important to a cat. So a lot of us tend to put a litter box in a corner or under something, and this could be affecting your cat's litter box use. Number of boxes is important as well. My rule is always one more box than the number of cats that you have.
Yes.
But you may need more than that. You know, if you have a cat who feels threatened or intimidated, that cat may need another box in another location. The size of the box, the height of the sides, whether the box is covered or uncovered, the type of litter, maybe it's too perfumey for the cat.
Yeah.
You know, cats want a litter, right, that has a soft, sandy, unscented, an unscented smell to it. That's not the right way to say it, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yes.
You know, the last time I checked outside,
a lack of scent.
Lack of scent. There you go.
Thank you, Dan. The last time I checked outside, the soil was not perfumed or have additives in it. So we want to replicate that as much as possible. So choosing the right box and making sure it's safe and making sure it meets your cat's needs is a huge big deal in your cat's world.
I love the phrase, one of the key phrases you said, real or imagined threats, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, there's nobody's bothering her by the litter. No, but she may be smelling other cats outside, or something else is making her skeptical to get in the box because she thinks she's going to get it. If she gets in
Trauma
that
from
box,
her
somebody's going to
past.
get her, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I-
Cats really don't want to be ambushed in that box.
Yeah.
And it is an instinct of theirs because they are both predator and prey. So they want to make sure they're safe. And when they're in that pooping position or that peeing position, these are very technical terms, by the way. I studied a lot to learn all of this. They feel vulnerable. They know they can be easily attacked or
Yeah.
ambushed. And so it's a little bit of a stress. I mean, when we go to the bathroom, we don't think about, okay, how am I going to escape? But your cat does.
Yes.
But if I was going to the bathroom, that is exactly not when I want the boogeyman to break in, because I can't run with my pants at my ankles. So I'm
Point
kind
well
of feeling
taken.
on them.
So it's even scarier. Yeah.
Exactly. So I understand. So Dan, what medical issues could cause this and why?
So certain things like urinary tract infections, or other things that cause urinary issues like feline lower urinary tract disease, or fluted, as you'll hear people call it. That's one where it's just kind of inflammation down there that
Mhm.
no one's really entirely sure exactly why that's happening, but it happens in some of the cats. And so there's things that can be done to help with that. But if they start associating the pain of one of those, inflammatory issues with being in that box, then they're going to, start saying, I don't really want to be in there. Or if it increases their urgency of how frequently they need to pee, they might not be able to make it, to the
True.
box when all of a sudden the urge hits and they need to pee. They're get up out of their cat tree and I don't think I can make it all the way there. Let me pee on this rug instead. Let me pee, I was sleeping on the bed. Now I've peed on the bed. They weren't doing it because they were mad at you. They may have been doing it because they were,
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Yes,
because
yes.
they were having an issue.
I hear
Yes.
that all the time. My cat peed on my bed because she was mad at me, or my cat peed on my shoes to teach me a lesson, or
Yes.
my
To
cat peed
get
on my socks
revenge.
because she doesn't like my new boyfriend. Although that one could be true.
That I was going to say that one could be true.
Character. But in
But
all
it's still not
seriousness,
to teach you a lesson, right? It's to claim you because I'm nervous
Right.
about this predator in the
yes,
situation.
yes.
So,
In all seriousness, cats want their needs met. And if your cat is using the litter box, it's because it meets her needs in terms of location and safety and security and box size and box type. And if the same cat is not using the litter box, she is not in any way misbehaving. She does not think about right or wrong the way we do. She has some problem in her life, and she is trying to solve that problem as a cat.
And I think some of it too, Dr. Geller, correct me if I'm wrong, when they're sick, I think they're instinctually, they want to do their business away from where the clouder does it because they don't want to spread their illness. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They have all of these instincts that guide their behavior, to meet their needs and to stay safe. So yes, they don't want the rest of the cats to get sick. And also they know they don't feel as well. They know they're not moving as quickly. They know they're in pain. And so they also don't want predators to know where they are.
I
There's
have
all
the
kinds of
weakest link.
instincts that come into play.
Every
Yeah.
time my
Complete
Kismet has an
sense.
FIV flare up, he hides behind the toilet. If you can't find Kismet, he's flaring and we need to get on it. And
Aw.
Dan, isn't it true that stress can cause some of these inflammations? So it can be like
That
6 to 1, half
idiopathic.
dozen of the others,
Yeah,
my father would
stress
say.
stress can definitely exacerbate those things. So often I have a lot of pet owners that call up and they're like, hey, my looted cat, we just had movers start doing construction, or we just had construction start in the area. Now they're peeing outside the box. I think that it's the beginning of their UTI that they always get. And so if it's a chronic case, every now and then a vet might prescribe antibiotics without something like an exam. But more often than not, they're still going to want to see them because
Sure.
stress can cause other issues as well, not just the urinary things.
Right.
And then I also wanted to comment on it before I forgot. I remember Dr. Rachel talking about the height of the litter box, and that can be really important as your cat ages as well, because as they're aging and getting arthritis and things, they can't step into that tall box anymore. So sometimes people are like, my cat, this has been the litter box they've been using their whole life. Well, yeah. So
What about those top loaders,
During their
Dan?
life
Just
is
took that out of my head.
And
I
I'm,
was
Right.
they expect the
They're-
cat to jump down in and then jump up out. No.
Right, they're older, they may be arthritic, they may be overweight, and
Yeah.
they're just not as agile as they were when they were kittens. And I can't think of any human who moves the same way and uses the same items as they did when they were toddlers, but yet that we put that expectation on our cats. And Dan is correct, as they age, their litter box needs definitely change.
Definitely.
yes, yes.
And
without
every
a-
cat's different. Every cat has their own personal preference on what it likes, and that might change over time, just like
Sure.
with us.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Very good point.
My three-legged Smoochie, she used to be pretty agile even with the missing leg, but now that she's older, she's not so much. So I had to get one of those really low senior type boxes. Otherwise,
Yep.
she'll go right next to it because she can't
Yep.
exactly haul herself into it anymore.
Right. You know, Rita, I've even had some clients where I've suggested that they just use a plastic boot tray or
Ah,
a cookie sheet as a litter box.
nice. That's a
'Cause
good
even
idea.
Yeah, because even the little
Yeah,
size were too much for some cats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they make ones like that we use for, when I've worked with shelters and things like that. They make little flat litter boxes that are, they're pretty much as she said, a cookie cutter
Yeah,
tray
like
or like
flat.
a lunch tray from the
Yeah.
cafeteria.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Good idea. I think, there's a couple other issues I've seen. My parents used to winter in Florida, and I got a phone call one day, and my mother said, I'm really worried your dad's about had it. This cat started peeing on our bed. And they're staying in a mobile home community with all the other old people. So, they have to go to the laundromat. So everybody wants to go to get into bed and find their sheets soaked. So I
No.
said, okay, first, when did you last go to the vet? Well, it had been a couple months. I said, okay, well, that's going to need to be, but have you changed litter recently? They adopted a cat who was front to clawed. And my dad switched, poor man, he's like 84, and he switched to something that was lighter to carrier, and it hurt her paws. She wasn't having it. So she peed on the bed, So that substrate, all the things for comfort,
And
right?
why up on the
Yes.
bed? It's up high, out of the way.
Elevation, right? Elevation,
Yeah,
safety,
right.
going back to that clear visual field, ample,
Yes.
potential to escape. I mean, we certainly don't love the thought of our cat peeing on the bed, but from the cat's perspective, it really solves a lot of problems.
It does.
She's feeling, and declawed cats are always feeling stressed about protecting themselves. So, you take a normal cat whose instinct is already to protect himself from opponents and predators and even other cats who may be rougher or tougher than he is. That's heightened in a cat who's declawed.
Yeah. Dan, do you think declawed cats have problems with ghost pains afterward?
Yeah, and it's definitely something that's been, talked about a lot in the vet industry, and that's why most places nowadays will not declaw. I'm really happy to say that I work for, I work for a company that has decided not to
God.
declaw. They made it
Thank
a,
heavens.
directive, and so it's really great.
Yeah.
If I go to a hospital nowadays, I do relief work, so I jump around hospital to hospital. But if I go to a hospital, and luckily I haven't gone to one yet that does, declaws anymore, things like that. But if I were to go to one, I don't think that I would be going back since I have the choice.
Yes. I've been dying to ask that. I had told Rita, because she's got her three-legged cat, and bad weather, Smoochie tends
She
to do
gets
things that we
grumpy.
don't like as much. And I had a diabetic son-in-law who had to have his toes amputated all the way down years ago from diabetes. And he had horrendous ghost pains. And this was a very strong, typical tough dude, doesn't complain. You'd see this look on his face, and he'd say, my toes are burning, and the toes that don't exist. And I was like, Rita, I wonder if Smoochie's feeling that.
I think so. I think she is. Because even if I touch where her leg you know, where the joint is, where the leg used to be. Sometimes she's okay with it, and sometimes she winces a little bit.
Yeah, and all of
Yeah.
that pain definitely affects behavior, so it really can all be intertwined.
Hmm. She's my
Yeah,
only cat
definitely.
that barks, by the way.
She
It's very
barks.
strange. She's a
It's
strange cat.
interesting too about cats with amputations, because some, it really affects them and, you can tell they need to get used to it. And other cats are like, oh, I don't have a leg anymore. When's lunch? It's like they
Well,
couldn't.
exactly.
Smoochie's like that most of the time, but as she's gotten older, she's about 8 or 9 now. I've lost track. I do notice she gets grumpier more, and she's got less patience with some of the other kitties as well.
That happens with us too.
Of
Right?
course.
I know that if you have, for example, a human breaks their ankle, it's more likely that they'll get arthritis in that area. Is that something that is common to happen in cats, Dan?
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's something that has also been talked about, a lot in the field. And so, we're luckily, not that it's ever luckily towards the ends of cats' lives or anything like that, but we're luckily towards the end of seeing those cats, coming into the hospital, because it's been
Yeah.
almost 20 years since some of these places have been making these directives, which is really, really
Yeah.
nice. Not
Yeah.
everyone has, but sometimes like, catch up with the times. But
Sure.
Exactly.
it's really great that we're not seeing as many cats coming in, that it's like, oh, they were declawed as a kitten or things like
So
that.
now they're going to have problems. And what an awful place
Yeah.
to
I
have
have one
pain.
declawed.
Literally walking on this, right?
Zakiro came
Right.
to us to
Oh,
claw.
that's right. I was like, oh, yeah, I knew that.
Zakiro's cool. He's a cool cat.
There's
Yeah.
30 of them all together. I can't keep tabs.
We have to take a little break right here at that 30 number. Yes, I am back to 19 cats and counting. Almost was 20 today, but I just had to say no. I just can't take in anymore. But anyway, we'll be right back after this break, and we'll talk more about behavior versus medical issues in cats. We'll be right back. And we're back with 19 cats and counting, and my awesome BFF, ride or die, Linda Hall, the possum, Rachel Geller, who right now, if you go to Amazon and buy her book, she's doing a fundraiser. All proceeds go directly to our Carolina Cat Sanctuary. And Dan, the possum, vet tech,
Saving the world.
who takes care of Dr. Rachel's own cats, by the way.
Yes.
And we're
Yes.
talking about
Love
behavioral
that.
issues versus medical issues that are causing behavior problems, and where the line intersects, because sometimes there is an intersect.
Yes. So I think we covered the litter box issues.
Yeah.
What else, Dr. Rachel, comes to mind that could go either way?
Well, I think the other thing that I see a lot is cats who are acting aggressively. And somebody will say to me, out of nowhere, for no reason, my cat is
Never out of
biting me."
nowhere. It's never no reason, right?
There's always a reason. But, when there's a behavior change, it's very abrupt. Usually, chances are that cat may be experiencing some type of pain, or there's something going on. And there is a phenomenon known as pain-induced aggression. And cats can't get to the source of what's bothering them. They don't understand. And so they take it out on whoever's nearby. And usually that's a human or a companion cat in the household.
So behaviorally, this could be, I'm still scared of that cat, whatever. But medically, it could be a pain issue. What kind of
Yes.
pain issues do you see often that people are missing out on like that? Oh, there's something behind this, Dan.
Yeah, I'd say the two most common kind of pain things that we see, or underdiagnosed pain in cats, because cats are so good at hiding their pain that you don't really know, and they don't tell you until it's a lot of pain.
Yes.
But the two would most likely be dental pain, and then arthritis, osteoarthritis in cats. Because all of those things are going to affect their normal day-to-day habits.
Definitely.
And chronic pain, chronic daily pain, even in people, just makes you tense,
Cranky,
makes you stressed, makes you
mean.
lash out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many cats that come in for their dental procedure that the owners were like, oh, my cat's been doing this and that. They've been kind of not wanting me to pet them anymore. They swat at me sometimes when I'm trying to just scratch their head, which is where I always scratch, or under their chin, and little do they know there's, you know, a little tooth root
Causing
abscess
pain.
down here or something along that lines, you know, causing some pain. They resorptive lesions in cats is really common, which is where their tooth root is literally just eating away at itself.
I see a lot of cats don't get
and
regular
so-
routine vet visits, so those pain issues in the mouth, the teeth, that festers for quite a while, and often cats end up having their teeth removed because they haven't had that regular care. Is that right?
Yep, that's very right. And a lot of people get, you know, concerned that their cat's teeth need to be removed. And I've met plenty of cats where, especially where, you know, as a kitten, if they have like stomatitis from having like
Yes.
calicivirus or something as a kitten, we've done full mouth extractions when they've been under a year old, and they live normal, happy lives. They just, a lot of cats don't even actually chew their food unless it's too
No.
big for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
that
will
has a
tend to
cat.
inhale it, yes.
Your
Yeah.
FIV cat, what has he got? Like one
Yeah,
tooth left?
stomatitis. Yeah, I think he's got like 2 teeth left, which actually really irritated me because he had dental surgery and he had a bunch of teeth removed. And then I brought him in for scaling and polishing, and they said we need to take out more teeth. He's got like 2 or 3 teeth left.
Just
I'm like,
take
why
'em.
in the world? Why? What good are those 2 teeth doing? Just so we do give him some extra wet food because my cats get 2 wet food meals a day, and then they get a little dry during the day. Don't tell anybody. And so Kismet, yeah, he doesn't see. I have caught him once in a while picking at the dry food, but he can't eat much of it. So he gets a 3rd wet meal every day. But you know, yeah, it hasn't really caused problems. Sometimes his lip gets stuck on his gum and he looks like Elvis. Thank you very
Elvis.
much. It's really cute, but no actual problems. So just
Right.
get
And
rid
they
of
and they
them.
feel so much better, you know, if when their teeth are diseased and that pain, and then, you know, as Dan said, you know, they're just feeling pain all the time, and so when you're up to here all the time in pain, the least little thing, even if it's something that we think is pleasurable, can really put that cat over the edge. So
Yeah,
you
I'm
know, we
sorry. If
remove that
anybody
pain.
out there has never had a toothache, God bless you. They're annoying. Like you want to stay home and go to bed, but it's not really something allowable, right? It's that bad of a
You were down
nagging
here
constant.
with a toothache. I remember that visit.
Yes, I
was
had
not a
just
fun
had one
visit for you.
removed and it was hurting, and yeah, I was miserable. So yes. If they do not get the teeth removed, Dan, other than pain, can this lead to other medical issues? These
Yeah,
infected.
there's a lot of things out there indicating, you know, just like with people, when you're sitting there at the dentist and, you know, they have their screen telling you all about how it'll affect your heart, it'll affect all of these other, you know, organs as well. Even just aspirating that bacteria, you know, if your mouth is full of bacteria and you're breathing through that bacteria, what happens when you accidentally, you know, you say, oh, that my spit went down the wrong hole. Well, what happens when that spit is full of bacteria? You know,
Right. Yeah, isn't
Put
it true
straight
that
to the
in
system.
people that that can cause heart disease? Is that, if I'm remembering that right?
Exactly,
Is that the
yeah.
same with
it can cause
cats if
heart
they don't have
problems
those?
'cause yeah, it is, because the bacteria gets into the bloodstream as well, and even if it's not from something like aspirating or whatnot, you just have a constant source of infection in the mouth,
Right.
so that's going to be bacteria and blood kind of, you know, able to mix right there, which is never a good thing.
Yeah,
And
I'd
they're
be
probably
mean
not
too.
eating well. And yeah. Oh,
I'd
yeah.
be mean too. I
And
wouldn't want another, if I was a cat,
well,
I
a
wouldn't want
lot of
another
the
cat
time
bothering me.
the cats can still be eating well even with this dental disease, because as Rachel was mentioning earlier, you know, the cats, they don't want to show pain. They don't want to be, you know, seen as weak. So the cats
Vulnerable.
are often still going and eating, and people are like, ah, I'm going to push off the dental procedure. You know, the vet recommended that there might be extractions, but I'm going to push it off because the cat's still doing great.
Yeah. Yeah. The cat's
Did you want to
fine.
just
You
say,
know?
wait a minute, let me smack you in the mouth and see if you
Yeah,
feel like eating?
emergencies are way worse than just regular dental pain.
Good point. Yeah. Let it
Yes.
go. Go ahead. Pay that
Yeah.
bill and see how that goes as we fight to save your cat's life. Go ahead. Save that
Right.
money.
No. What
So-
about
Right.
neurological issues in
They're
cats
also
and behavior?
right under the eyeballs as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like when they do get an abscess under the root, it can affect their eyes, it can affect their sinuses, because they have such tiny cute little noses, and where's their, you know, The
Yes.
teeth roots are right next to that too.
Oh, and
So,
especially if you're
Yes.
talking about a Persian with a flat nose.
Yeah, the smushy, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Mushy face.
Well, what about neurological issues? I mean, we don't see a lot of that, but I've had cats with neurological issues, and it often does affect behavior, sometimes to the aggressive side. Are there good treatments for cats that have some neurological issues for keeping them calmer and helping them get along with other cats in the household?
So there are medications that, some vets will use if you're talking about, anxiety or things like that. Depending on the type of neurologic issue, it'll all depend. If it's something like a brain tumor, then that's something that might require radiation or something like that, some bigger therapy. But if it's just more of like a anxiety type neurologic issue, then often that can be helped with medications if the other, other tips and tricks that this is where I would definitely try and work hand in hand with behaviorists like,
Right.
Yes,
Dr.
exactly.
Rachel here.
Right, because you're never, even if you've determined that your cat has anxiety, and I just want to say that I have no problem giving a cat anti-anxiety medication. I think we are so fortunate that we live in a time that we've discovered that this helps not only people, but our cats. And if a person was struggling with mental health issues or anxiety, we would not hesitate to suggest suggest
Right.
medication if we thought that that would be helpful for that person. They feel the same way with our cats. But having said that, you are never going to give a cat a pill and the behavior problem is going to go away and be immediately resolved. The
Right.
medication will resolve that emotional piece, that anxiety piece for the cat, but you still need to follow the behavior plan that has been written out for your cat.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And it seems like all vets want to go right to Prozac, which I don't know if that's always the best choice, but it seems Prozac and Fillaware are the two things vets seem to go right to.
That's a
Why
really
is that?
common.
Why
for the cat.
Prozac, Dan?
It's just there aren't very many things, unfortunately, that have been studied with the cats. So that's one that has been used for quite a while. So there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, that's shared around through the industry, and it
Okay.
seems to work really well.
Okay.
Cats have such sensitive kidneys and livers that they can't really handle some of those other bigger drugs for long-term use.
Okay.
Because I always tell people cats are aliens. They were put on, and I love them so much. I've also
Yeah,
said
100%.
I'm glad we're in the timeline that cats are our friends.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I know.
All
I had a
right.
vet years ago that told me you're learning all these things in medical school, and this goes for all animals except cats.
Except cats.
Because cats are so different.
Yes, that's true. When I was in pharmacology class, almost, there were so many drugs that we had to learn. I would never be able to list them all. But there were so many things that in the contraindication column, cats.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why we love them,
So
though.
my problem, and I want to get both your takes on this. My problem with, let's say, Prozac, it can take up to 8 weeks to build up in your system.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait 2 months and then you're going to say, oh, it's really not doing it now. We need to play with it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this isn't the right medication. Now we have to titrate off. And so often it's a temporary issue. I'm mad because you brought a new cat in and I'm scared to death of them. There are feral cells, whatever, that I'm not playing around with a drug for 3 months when I tackle it this.
No,
Now,
they would
there's
end up
still a
surrendering
problem.
the cat long before they
Yeah.
even titrated all the way up.
Well, I
Yes.
think that's a good
I don't
point.
know how often I give out Rachel's website because I'm like, while we're doing this, you should email Dr. Rachel because she does free consults. She just wants you to keep your cat in your home. Please email her.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm happy you do that. And I'm happy to help. And to Linda's point, I do think those types of medications are really only good if it's been diagnosed as a chronic anxiety problem, an ongoing kind of constitutional issue with the cat. This cat does have diagnosed anxiety rather than we can pinpoint there's a new baby, there's been a change, that type of thing. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And some people use certain things for, just for stressful events. Like if you don't
Yeah.
mind me sharing, Dr. Rachel,
Yes, please.
like one of Dr. Rachel's cats, comes in for some sanitary shaves and some nail trims, and she doesn't like it. The cat doesn't like it, and I don't take offense that she doesn't love to come see me. But she needs a little bit of gabapentin on board, and it works wonders.
Yes. We
Yes.
love
Generally,
GABA. We love
Yeah.
GABA for the
wrap her in a
short
little-
term.
I can generally wrap her in a little burrito, and then I can do most of it on my own normally, which is
Yes.
Yes,
We do
she,
talk about
she is a
GABA.
lovely cat, but she does turn into Cujo when it's time to go
It's
see Dan.
scary, exactly.
And
I'm
they
very lucky. I
understand.
don't have any current Cujo cats. I have had them in the past, but most of my cats really love my vet and love the vet techs because they get treated extra special and they give them little treats and things.
And
Yeah.
gabapentin is very easily compounded. You don't need to, pill the cat. You can get it compounded into a tasty treat. So for people who are afraid, oh, I could never do that. I can't pill my cat. You can get it compounded. There are some compounders that offer menus that have so many delicious combinations of food that sometimes I'm tempted to order it for myself. I mean, like chicken and
Some of that.
chicken and turkey fricassee and all of these delightful
Exactly.
sounding.
Right.
Yes.
It comes in vanilla marshmallow. Like
I
there's
love
some
Right,
it.
right.
I
And
love it.
there's a transdermal option where you can just rub
Yes.
the medication onto
That's my
the cat's
favorite.
Yeah.
ear, so there are so many options. So if you're out there and you're listening and you think, oh, I can't pill my cat, talk to your vet because there are
I'm
many
so
options
glad.
available.
I'm so glad you said that because we just had somebody like last week that was like, well, they put her on blah, blah, blah. How's it going? Are you seeing any improvement? I can't give that cat that pill. And now the cat hates me and the cat is running from me and we've got a horrible relationship. I said, forget it.
It was
Fuck
the
it.
GABA. And remember, I sent them the link to show your vet that you can get that in a transdermal.
And
And
a
I-
lot of cats can detect it in the food too,
Yeah.
Then forget it, once they get that taste.
My 19-year-old Missy, as old as she is, and as much as her sniffer is off, if I put anything in her food like that, she knows it.
They do, they
Exactly.
sniff it and they walk away.
Exactly.
Yes,
Well, and I like gabapentin
Yeah,
because you don't have to titrate up and titrate down. It's just,
exactly.
I told somebody the other day, it's like a
It's a pretty
Tylenol. Take
standard
it does
dose.
its job, it goes, right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
My parents used GABA on their cat to go to Florida and back every year. So yeah, 4 days a year, Jazzy was on GABA.
We need to unfortunately wrap.
No.
I hate it because we could probably talk about this for another hour. But are there any last thoughts, Dr. Rachel and Dan, that you would like to leave our listeners with?
I would just say that if you are having a cat behavior problem, use your best judgment on whether to rule out medical first. If you can identify a trigger or a change or a stressor in your cat's environment, look at that first because you definitely don't want to stress out your cat even more with an unnecessary veterinarian trip. But by the same token, if the behavior change is abrupt, if it's sudden, if nothing seems to be helping and maybe it's even getting worse, then it's definitely time to bring your cat in to see your vet.
Yeah.
So, right. And Dan, any last words for us?
I just want to thank you guys for having me on. But yeah, I would agree that I like just working hand in hand with you guys, behaviorists and veterinarians to try and help keep all the cats, where they should be, happy and healthy.
Linda and I
Exactly,
always
yes.
say it takes a village.
It does. Yes,
does.
exactly.
Well, I would like to thank you both for being on our show, and I hope you come back because I know there's even more we could talk about together. And
Yes.
Linda, my best friend forever and ever, who makes everything possible because she's just so wonderful and sparkly, and she's got all those qualities I don't have because I'm shy. Yes, I'm shy. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Mark Winter for giving us this awesome spot on Pet Life Radio. We are forever in your debt. And just remember, everyone, every day is Catter Day, and happy holidays. We'll see you next time.